The POLAR study, POLAR stands for the Profile for the Omission of Local Adjuvant Radiotherapy, is a meta-analysis of 3 randomized trials where the POLAR signature was validated. The POLAR signature is a 16-gene signature, which was developed in a Swedish trial years ago, where they tried to find the differences of genes between patients receiving radiotherapy or not. All patients had breast-conserving surgery and having non-systemic treatment. This presentation in San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium a couple of weeks ago was a meta-analysis of the validation of the POLAR signature. There were included 3 trials. The total number was 650 patients. The Swedish trial, where all patients received no systemic therapy. The Princess Margaret Hospital trial from Canada, where all patients received tamoxifen, and the Scottish trial of conservative surgery, where patients received systemic therapy according to the hormone receptor status. They were all randomized to receive or not radiotherapy, and the aim was to validate the POLAR signature as a prognosticator and as a predictive assay for radiotherapy benefiting patients undergoing breast-conserving surgery. The key finding of the study is taking a cutoff point of 25% for the POLAR signature, where patients were dichotomized to high and low signature. Patients having high POLAR signature had benefit from radiotherapy, because without radiotherapy they had local recurrences at the area of 20% compared to 7% when radiotherapy was added. But for patients having a low POLAR signature, there was no benefit of radiotherapy, and local recurrences were at the area of 5% compared to 7% of those who did receive radiotherapy. It is important to say that these percentages are with a mean of 10 years follow-up, because in the Prince Margaret Hospital we had 8 years follow-up, and going up to the Swedish trial where the follow-up was over 20 years. Something else which is important also is that all patients were, let's say, low risk, hormone receptor positive, lymph node negative, HER2 negative patients. And as I said before, in the majority of patients coming from the Swedish trial, 57% of the population was from that trial, received no adjuvant therapy, either chemotherapy or hormonal treatment. I think that this is a very important result, because for the first time we have a signature which is aiming to predict, not only to be prognostic in terms of local recurrences, but also to predict if there is any benefit from radiotherapy. We already have had the feeling that some low-risk patients wouldn't really benefit from radiotherapy, but up to date, and still is, radiotherapy added to breast-conserving surgery is the routine. Yes, we did have some indications from the Oncotype DX recurrence score for DCIS, having again a prognostic and predictive value. But now we have for invasive disease. I think that, well, at the moment, we only have a small number of patients, and we certainly need a clinical trial with larger numbers. But I think that this is very promising because we could avoid to a certain number of patients, low-risk patients, another modality, and it follows the paradigm we had with chemotherapy. Recurrence score, Oncotype DX recurrence score, helped us to change our practice and avoid chemotherapy in a very high percentage of patients who do not really get any benefit. And I'm wondering, I haven't seen any data yet, if these two could be really combined, because the genes are different. The polar genes are related to immune response and proliferation. The 21 gene signature is using these and other genes. But I'm wondering if this could be combined and help us to decide those low-risk patients who probably do not need either radiotherapy or chemotherapy and would have a very nice outcome only with surgery and hormonal treatment. I'm really waiting to see trials starting because there is a slight disadvantage when we have to do trials like this, because, for example, we have also to answer the question what is going to happen for those patients who do not receive adjuvant radiotherapy in terms of the long-term benefit radiotherapy might have in their overall survival. So, in conclusion, the results, it is very nice, and I'm enthusiastic that we do have this signature for radiotherapy. However, the numbers are small, and we still have a lot of things to answer, but it's really very interesting and very, very important.